Hi, and welcome to Yeti at Large. This is a channel focused on making the most out of what you have, no matter where you're at. Thanks for tuning in and helping out. So as promised, the last installment in our wood cutting series, and this one's about getting ready to burn and your wood stove for the winter. Now, I'm going to admit something to you that I'm not proud of, but if you take a closer look here, you will see that I never cleaned my stove after the last fire last year. So cleaning a wood stove, something you'll do multiple times a year, but this time before we get started, we're going to clean the chimney, but that requires removing all the ash first. If you don't already have a really good all metal ash can with a steel lid, you have to have one. Never, never, never put ashes in a plastic bucket or anywhere that can burn. Ask me how I know. I've got both doors open. I've got the fans on, and I have the airflow on the stove shut down to avoid getting any ash on the house more than I have to. I always tip my bucket like I'm pouring a good German beer, and I carefully lay my ash in there so that it doesn't get all over the house. All right. Woo!
That's cool.
Yeah, see, it's not pulling anything up the chimney though. Sometimes, if you want to get a better draft up your chimney to get all this ash from coming into your house, putting a candle in there for a half an hour beforehand will heat it just enough to get the convection to pull everything up the chimney. Of course, I didn't do that today, but I was so excited to be on YouTube. How can I concentrate? Don't over-focus on removing all the ash out of the actual bottom of the box. Get 95% of it, because it just doesn't matter. It's not going to be your problem. The issue that we need today is these air tubes need to come out, and these heat baffles need to come out so that we can get to the chimney. We'll show you that next. Now typically I'll set my ash can outside here. I don't care if it's in the snow or what's going on. I don't even care if it gets rained on. But it's around nothing combustible, and it will give it time to choke out. And then you'll see I have this, what's supposed to be an herb bed, where most of my ash winds up. I'll remove all of that this year and stick it out in the garden to rototill in for compost. So high efficiency wood stoves, wood burning stoves, are going to have a lot of air recycling and baffling systems. This is treasured, and you want to take good care of it. You can see that the baffles are pointed in specific directions. These are the heat shield, consumable product. You have to replace those every few years. And I do have spares. We'll show you that in a moment. But in order to get to the chimney, which is right above this space here, we have to remove all this, and I will tell you right now, it is not fun or easy. You can see this little pin right here just hangs there. It's not a screw or a bolt. And if I turn it at the perfect angle, can you see that? I'm hoping in YouTube. It goes through that notch, and the pin comes right out. I'll set it on top of the stove so that we don't lose it. I'll move this very delicate heat shield out of the way, knowing that it's covered with ash on the top side, so I don't want to jostle it any more than I have to. And I'll rotate this up and out. And just like the pin, I will put it in the exact position that I want to return it to. Now that that first bar is out of the way, I can very carefully remove this very delicate heat shield, like the most talented waiter. And look at all that ash on top that I'm trying not to wear. And these crack and break, and they're not cheap. So take your time to be very careful with them. And now I'll pull the second one out. And you're going to see an age difference, because this one is much older than the first one I just put in, because I don't replace them unless I absolutely have to. And you'll see how it's pitted, charred, the edges are rolled over, and I'll put it on top facing the exact same way. Now I'll clean these before I put them back in, but I'll remember what position I had them orientated to. And now I'm going to move my big fat melon out of the way, and you can see up in there to see where the chimney comes through. You're going to see right there, this is the fire danger. That's what we got to get rid of. So as you can see, this was what was on top of the baffle I took that was directly underneath the chimney. See how it's shiny and sparkly, and there's the pattern of the heat baffles up there? This is very dangerous, and if you have enough of this that's just fallen down the chimney without being scrubbed, it's time to clean them. Notice all these scrapes and dents and dings? That's a teenager loading your wood stove. Keep your wood from bashing into this. You don't want to tear these up. Here's the top side. You can see the circle where the chimney is and the heat gets the highest, but this is still in really good shape and we're going to protect this. So we'll put it back in exactly how it came out. These notches right here are for those baffles so that it nests in there perfectly. The internal diameter of my chimney is 6 inches, and that's a double-walled chimney pipe, so I have a 6-inch brush. It ain't very pretty, but it doesn't matter. It does its job very well. You can see that there's no shine on the very tips of the wires. When we're done cleaning it, I'll look to make sure all those are nice and shiny so that I know that it's made contact with every side of the inside of the chimney. Now the problem with the pile is we have a bend in our chimney. Not ideal, but not out of code. The problem is you can't take a typical very sturdy chimney brush wire, it won't make the bend. So we've adopted a rope system to pull it through. And I leave about a foot of handle on here to really scrub the top side, because that's 90% of the creosote you're going to have in your chimney is going to be in this length at the top. Okay, one thing I like to do before we start the scrub is I take a beverage box like this and I'll set it in the bottom to catch all the creosote. We're real lucky that we got a stove with a glass door. It makes it real pretty when the fire's going. Obviously these doors get dirty. The colder the fire gets, the dirtier the door gets. A hot fire will burn most of this off. But since we're cleaning the stove, we're going to go to clean it today. This is cold. This glass is incredibly expensive. Be very careful when you're loading your wood stove not to allow a piece of wood to touch this and force the door closed. You'll break this glass. Another teenager move. So this is just some paper towel with tap water on it. And it's still shocking to me how effective it is in cleaning the door. Don't do this on a hot door. So we have no choice but to get up on the roof to clean part of the chimney. And I don't know if the camera's flattening the roof out or making it look more steep, but this roof is far too steep to be on safely without some kind of safety reinforcements. This is a very high quality Werner extension ladder that I got secondhand. And one of the things that I do, you make sure that these feet down here are flat on the ground, square and level. And the beauty is I added this very inexpensive section of rope to be able to extend. See that I have the rope tied at the bottom so it's not hanging loose, and it's on the inside of the ladder where it won't interfere with my climbing. I keep it down the middle of the ladder so it won't be in the way of my feet, and I try to get enough of an angle that when I'm coming down the ladder and I'm on the step that's above the roof line, that I'm not going to get it to flip forwards or backwards, that I'm right down the cord of where this rope falls. That's my indicator. And if you're curious what the cord measurement is, go to an aviation website and look up what a cord is. It's how you measure a wing. I'm only doing it vertical for a safety factor. So when I see this vertical fall of this rope, I know that that's where I can safely get on the ladder and still be at 0 degrees. So this is the speed brake that right now is attached to my tree lanyard, but I'm going to remove it and attach it to my harness because I'm using this more as industrial safety and less for tree climbing. So I told you I don't climb trees on aluminum carabiners, but I don't mind using them for my safety. And again, this is not advice. Know what you're doing and use this stuff properly. If you don't know, get training. But you can see that this one's rated for 26 kilonewtons. That's a pretty heavy duty carabiner, and it's got a double locking mechanism before it will open. So I don't mind using this for my safety equipment, along with my figure 8. And this is going to be my 2 levels of safety gear, and I'll show you how we rig the figure 8. This is a very simple, inexpensive, lightweight saddle harness. and secure. And now you can see here, I will take my locking carabiner and put it high side. And I believe we have this facing the right way. If not, we'll flip it 180. Murphy's Law probably insists that we've gotten it wrong. So we talked about dressing that line. And if it's going to work as a safety feature, it needs to be dressed where it's going to do some good. So here you are up on the steps of the patio, and here I am 5 feet off the ground. This is about where I wouldn't want to run out of line. So there's nothing stopping me from coming into the middle of my line, grabbing a bite, doing a full twist, and pulling a figure 8 right here. Now if I had a spare carabiner, I could latch the rope together to dress that figure 8. But I have faith that this is properly dressed, and it's in a place where if I run out of rope and all my safety mechanisms have failed, it's going to stop me from hitting the ground.
Ready. Got it. Alrighty.
As she feeds that, you can hear me pulling it up the chimney. Look at all that creosote coming down. What we didn't show you was me scrubbing the top side with a wire brush and really inspecting everything while I'm up there. This is the part where I'm trying to narrate to a little portable camera that I have, but I couldn't get the AVI format to work well with the MP4 format, so we just deleted it. And I'll show you the whole purpose of this double figure 8 knot, because while it's strong as can be and I trust my life to it, it's also very easy to undo. And at that point I can feed enough rope, I can undo that brake like I do there, and it will let me all the way off the ladder and let me back away from the workspace. And that, quite frankly, is worth the extra effort to stay safe when you've got to be up on the roof. Because tonight, I'm going to be enjoying a lovely glass of wine and a warm fire instead of sitting in a hospital room. I've done plenty of both. If you're not used to working with it, I've already unthreaded this. I can open it, and that's for my figure 8. And I'll lock this back down because my gear, I try to keep it in good place. Let's say all of a sudden I have to go to the bathroom really fast. I can just take that brake off and leave it like that, and now I'm out of my gear and just disconnected from the roof.
We're rolling.
Okay, so everything's squared away on the roof. Our ladders are put away. Let's see what we got. Now you can tell right away that is a lot of creosote, and I don't know if you can see it sparkle like we can, but a little bit later we'll put this on the burn barrel outside and show you how dangerous this is. So a brief inspection after we brushed it out. And yeah, there's still ash in there. There's always going to be ash. I don't try to get it all. I just try to get the critical black creosote off of the ventilation components and the moving parts. Now you'll notice back here in the back, I've got cracks in my fire bricks along here, here, and here, but they're still in place and doing their job very well. There's no gaps. If there was a gap, I'd have to replace those with the set. That again is somebody overloading the box and slamming wood in there when they shouldn't. Make sure your firewood's cut to size and that you don't try to overload it. Let's see how we did with our chimney though. Notice the difference. Now you can see over here on the heat fingers there, I don't know what else to call those. There's still a little bit of creosote on there, but we got 90% of it off. This is going to be good to go for this year. We'll probably get to March before we have to do it again because the pile relies exclusively on wood heat. This is the part I absolutely care for, but it's nearly impossible to get this little pin back in this section. And look at that for YouTube, first try. You guys are good luck. So here's the thing. Moving firewood sucks. So do it early. Do a lot at once. and be smart about it so you don't have to move firewood at night in the snow and slippers. And before we roll this off, I'll show you the other one. There's a dozen different varieties of these kinds of wood parcels. There's some that go over your shoulder and you hold it, whatnot. I like this one. Let's go inside. So you see one little arm load, and the thing I love about this is if you want, you can just bring the whole thing in, set it in there, and away you go. I love this little rack. It's too small for most things. It's good enough for the pile. And you see these chrome bolts, it broke a while ago, so I repaired it. With some bolts, I leave some space on there, and away we go. I like a little ramp to roll the wheelbarrow right up onto the front deck. This keeps the wood nice and dry and out of the snow. This winter I'll show you pictures of that entire deck with 2 feet of snow on it. I leave the gap against the wall to have access to the plug and good airflow, but the nice thing is I've got 2 or 3 days worth of dry wood. That's one load, 3 more to go to fill them up. The best fire starter I have ever found is the mighty pine cone. So they're full of fats and oils. 3 of these will start your fire. Just 3. That's all it takes. When I was a little kid growing up in Tempe, a good friend of mine was a White Mountain Apache, and he told me that it was very good luck if you could catch a falling pine cone. That was 1975. I've tried hundreds of times and had them land inches from behind me. I have never caught a falling pine cone. If you could catch one, will you please leave a comment below? I want to know if it can be done. I suspect there's a lot of strong opinions about how to build a fire. I do mine the same way every time, just like this. In the earlier episodes where we're splitting wood, you'll see me cleave off a flat chunk from the edge of the log. That's that top of the box that I build in there. Captures all the heat with the cut side down and gets good quick ignition. I will build my fire utilizing about 1/3 to 1/4 of a brown paper grocery bag. I'll crinkle it all up and stick it in there. You can still get those if you ask for them at the store. On top of that paper, I'll set 3 pine cones. I'm a big fan of the number 3, and I just think it gives enough heat to get it started. Once those are in place, I'll retrieve some of the kindling that naturally occurs when you're splitting wood. I stack mine in between the regular wood, so I always have some of it handy. The raccoons will steal a lot of it. And I'll put just a little bit. I try to conserve this stuff because it's inevitably you feel like you don't have enough by the time the end of the winter rolls around. This is the first fire of the year, and I'm trying to show off for YouTube, so I'm going to put just a couple of extra pieces. Now this is Yeti at large. We're not afraid to fall flat on our face, so no tricks, no gimmicks. Is more than enough. 1 match. We're going to start this fire with 1 match on a cold, clean wood stove. A little bit of ash in the bottom always helps a fire start better. As I light this fire, you're going to see me start to get emotional with you guys. Cutting firewood and collecting firewood's deeply personal and very important thing for me. I'm not the greatest hunter and I'm not the best fisherman, but I'm really good with trees and taking care of the forest. I'm proud to call myself a steward of our wildlands. The thing here specifically is our little pile of sticks relies exclusively on this wood stove for heat. I won't run the space heaters and get a $200 bill. This will be my 5th winter that I've been here. So not only is there the aesthetics and the comfort perspective, but there's the safety as well. And if you've watched this channel for any length of time, you've figured out that I'm big on safety. So we're going to let the camera roll for a bit, and I'm going to thank you for making it this far in our series and really encourage you to subscribe, like this video, and please leave a comment down below. So wood stoves can tend to make your environment pretty dry. We keep this cast iron chicken on our stove because she does a great job of keeping things humid. Since we named all of our tools, we named our chicken too. We call her Cluck. I recorded about a half hour of the fire, but I sped it up. I really wanted to show you how putting the roof on that fire and building that box traps all that heat, and you get good, complete combustion, good warmth, and you're really getting the most out of your wood. Again, thank you for making it this far. Thank you for tuning in. Very grateful for everybody there. And that's my phone telling me I have a notification on YouTube.